I've been living in my camper for 7 years, and it has been my home. However, recently, some strange things started happening after my old camper broke down. Let me tell you a bit about my life. When I turned 21, my parents kicked me out of their house, leaving me with no money and a low-paying job. Renting a place was out of the question because I couldn't afford it. So, I ended up living in my small old van that my grandma bought for me on my birthday. I'm not angry at my parents for what they did. I understand that turning 21 meant I needed to find my own way. However, I promised myself that I would never do the same to my future kids. That's when I made the decision to buy an old camper and make it my home. For 7 years, that camper has been my cozy shelter before upgrading and buying a newer camper to live in. I saw a perfect-size camper for a single person, got excited, and contacted the seller. When I went to check out the camper, it was a quick transaction. He told me it was his family's camper and he didn't need it anymore. I didn't ask too many questions because, let's be honest, the price was just too good to pass up. At first, everything seemed fine during the first week with my new camper, but things took a turn during the second week. One day, as I approached my camper, I heard what sounded like someone yelling from inside. The lights were flickering, and I could see shadows moving around. I cautiously walked closer to investigate, but suddenly, everything went silent, and the flickering light stopped. I slowly unlocked the door with my key, and as I opened it, darkness greeted me. It was quiet, and I thought that maybe it was all just in my head. That night, I went to sleep, but I was abruptly awakened by a loud argument. It sounded like a couple was fighting, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. The next morning, I woke up and went about my daily routine, doing some stretching in front of my camper. As I reached for my hot coffee on top of the camper's hood, I saw 2 figures sitting in the front seat. A man was behind the wheel, and a woman sat beside him. I was startled, and in my shock, I dropped my coffee and stepped back away from the camper. This time, I could clearly see that they were arguing inside. I decided to park my camper in front of my friend's house that day. I hurried to my friend's house to tell him about what I had experienced. We both rushed back to the camper, but when we arrived, there was no one inside. I was trembling with fear and told my friend that I would spend another night parked in front of his house. He reassured me that I could stay there as long as I needed, since we were good friends. That night, my friend and I returned from the theater late. After saying our goodbyes, I went inside my camper and went straight to bed without changing my clothes. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, a man's voice yelled so loudly that it startled me awake. Suddenly, the camper's engine roared to life. I was terrified and quickly jumped out of the camper. I ran to my friend's door and knocked frantically. My friend looked at me like I was crazy, but we both went to check the camper. To our surprise, there was nothing wrong. The engine was off, and the strange thing was that I still had my key in my pocket since I went straight to bed. Desperate for answers, I contacted the young man who had sold me the camper. At first, he hesitated to tell me anything, but after hearing my story about the haunted camper, he decided to reveal the truth. He explained that one day, his parents had returned from a road trip. As they parked the camper on their lot, he witnessed them arguing and refusing to come out. Amidst the argument, his mother grabbed his father's gun. In the struggle to retrieve the gun, it accidentally went off, shooting his mother in the stomach. His father then turned to him, their son from outside, and said sorry before taking his own life with another gunshot. Both of his parents had died in the camper. Upon learning this, I sold the haunted camper to a young couple that is starting their camper life, or what they call the van life. I vowed never to live in it again. Instead, I rented a small apartment, relieved to be free from the eerie presence that had haunted my home on wheels. Don't miss out on the bone-chilling thrills. Subscribe now and prepare to be haunted by the horrors that await. A mystical radiance bathed the untouched terrain as we parked our cherished converted vehicle in an isolated spot for the night. Having embraced a year-long journey on the go, we reveled in the freedom and thrill inherent in our nomadic lifestyle. The night wrapped us in a serene embrace, offering a welcome break from the constant motion and ever-shifting landscapes. Nestled in our snug mobile abode, A tranquility settled upon us, and we basked in the simplicity of our existence. The air, cool and invigorating, carried the fragrance of cedar, accompanied by the faint whispers of creatures in the distance. It was in this tranquil ambiance that our perfect bubble was shattered. In the distance, headlights pierced the darkness, another vehicle pulling into the nearby clearing. Glances were exchanged, curiosity mingled with a touch of caution. The vehicle parked, and its occupants emerged, revealing themselves to be a couple much like us, fellow explorers in search of a nomadic life. Driven by curiosity, we decided to extend a friendly greeting, hoping to establish a connection with kindred spirits. Yet, as we drew near, an unsettling feeling settled upon us like a dense fog. Something about their demeanor was askew, an underlying tension that eluded definition. Their smiles seemed forced, their eyes lacking the warmth characteristic of our nomadic community. A sense of disquiet crept into our hearts, hinting at hidden agendas and obscured shadows. We dismissed our doubts, attributing them to fatigue or misinterpreted signals. Little did we know, a nightmarish ordeal awaited us. As we engaged in polite discourse, their words took on an enigmatic quality, tinged with unsettling undertones. They spoke of places they had visited, recounting tales of encounters that felt too ominous to be real. Uncomfortable glances were exchanged, silently acknowledging the growing unease that gripped us. Night descended, casting eerie shadows around the campsite. The van-dwelling couple became insistent, urging us to join them on a late-night escapade. Their intentions remained veiled in mystery, their persistence triggering alarm bells within our minds. A whirlwind of emotions consumed us: fear, curiosity, and an overpowering urge to shield ourselves from an unknown threat. Politely declining their invitation, we cited fatigue and the need for rest. Their smiles dimmed, replaced by a concealed disappointment that sent shivers down our spines. As darkness enveloped us, we huddled inside our vehicle, heightened senses amplifying the nocturnal sounds. Every rustle of leaves and creak of a branch carried a sinister implication, our imaginations fueled by the eerie encounter. Hours crawled by, yet sleep eluded us. The silence of the night was disrupted by distant commotions, footsteps, hushed whispers, and the grating of metal against metal. Terror gripped our souls as we realized the van-dwelling couple harbored intentions far more malevolent than we had anticipated. In the dead of night, we made a gut-wrenching decision to escape. Silently packing our belongings, we prayed our movements would go unnoticed. The engine roared to life, our vehicle accelerating away from the haunting encounter. As we sped into the night, a chorus of shouts and curses followed, a chilling reminder that we had narrowly escaped a fate destined to haunt us forever. The road lay ahead, an uncertain path in the aftermath of this harrowing experience. Dwelling in my camper had become my way of life, providing me with a sense of freedom and flexibility as I traveled from city to city, embracing the nomadic lifestyle. However, one fateful night shattered my peaceful existence and left me questioning the safety of my chosen lifestyle. In search of a safe place to rest, I parked my camper in a dimly lit corner of a Target parking lot. It seemed like an ordinary spot, bustling with activity during the day, but now it was eerily deserted under the cloak of darkness. As I settled in, the soft hum of the engine lulled me into a sense of security. As time passed, the quiet stillness was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps. My heart skipped a beat, and a chill ran down my spine. I listened intently, hoping it was just a passerby, but the footsteps grew louder and closer. A knock on the door shattered the silence, causing my heart to race. Cautiously, I peered through the window, locking eyes with a stranger. His unkempt appearance and sinister gaze sent a wave of unease through me. Reluctantly, I cracked open the door, my voice laced with apprehension. "Can I help you?" The man's eyes bore into mine with unsettling intensity. His voice was laced with malice as he uttered, "I've been watching you. You're all alone here, vulnerable." Dread washed over me as his words sank in. How could he have been watching me? What did he want from me? He continued, his voice dripping with twisted satisfaction. "You're an easy target. Give me your valuables, and maybe I'll let you live. Fear clutched my heart as I realized the true nature of this encounter. My mind raced, weighing my options, but panic threatened to cloud my judgment. Summoning my courage, I firmly declined his demand, my voice trembling but determined. I won't give in to your threats. Leave now, or I'll call the police. A sinister smile twisted his lips as he took a step closer. The glint of a knife in his hand sent icy tendrils of terror through my veins. He was armed, and I was at his mercy. Desperation flooded my senses as I contemplated my next move. With trembling hands, I fumbled for my phone, praying for a signal. Sweat dripped down my brow as I dialed 911, my voice shaky as I relayed the details of my terrifying ordeal. Time seemed to crawl as I waited for the arrival of help. The minutes stretched into an eternity, my gaze locked on the man outside who taunted me with his twisted grin. Finally, the distant wail of sirens pierced the night, a symphony of relief and hope. The man's expression contorted with frustration, realizing his time was running out. In a moment of audacity, he lunged at the camper, a final attempt to seize control. Adrenaline surged through my veins as I instinctively defended myself. The struggle was fierce, a fight for survival. Every fiber of my being was consumed by the need to protect myself and overcome this nightmare. With a surge of strength, I managed to fend off the attacker, his futile attempts to overpower me fueling my determination. The distant sound of approaching police cars grew louder, providing a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. The authorities arrived, their flashing lights illuminating the night. They apprehended the assailant, and a sense of relief washed over me. The nightmare had ended, but its impact would forever linger in my memory. From that moment forward, I became more cautious, vigilant in my surroundings. The trust I had once placed in the world was shattered, replaced by a lingering sense of unease. Yet, I refused to let fear control me. I resolved to fortify my defenses and continue my camper-dwelling lifestyle, but with an unwavering sense of caution. As I drove away from that fateful Target parking lot, my faithful companion Max at my side, I couldn't help but feel a mixture of gratitude and resilience. I had survived a horrifying encounter, emerging stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as the road stretched out before me, I vowed to never let fear dictate my path, embracing the unpredictable journey that lay ahead.